Well, hello, fellow puzzlers. What another glorious day to get a puzzle done in the greenhouse. So, I made a big fuss about not liking smaller size puzzles like the 500 pieces, but I feel like 500 pieces is the best for me to get done, hopefully in one day in the greenhouse. So, I did go through I have quite a large collection, but I did find a few puzzles of 500 pieces. So I'm very excited about that. And this is of, can you guys see that? And again, I'm going to be blind doing this. There we go. So this is Halifax, Nova Scotia. Puzzle by John Morris. I believe he would be the photographer. Yes, actually, photography by John Morris. So I'm really interested to see what the quality of this puzzle is going to be. So here we go. Pardon, there's going to be some loud noise for a minute, okay? As I try to get it open and get her done. So I have some stuff I was going to talk about today, which I think is going to be very helpful, but give me a second. Oh, it's designed in Canada. Oh, that's kind of nice. Well, actually, it is nice. Okay, here we go. Good size pieces. And actually, something that I complain about with other puzzle companies that this puzzle did not do, so yay for this puzzle. Oh, isn't that cool? Lens make a picture. That's funny. If I like this puzzle, I will take a look at the other jigsaw puzzles on that website. What I like is that this whole, can you see that? This whole puzzle is not covered by any of the logos. I really enjoy that. So for my opinion, good job. All right, is that... Well, pretty much you guys know how this goes by now, hopefully. So this is where I assemble a puzzle, and then I'll put all the pieces over there. So, okay, now, let's get into it. So hard to see. And then when I do the edits or the review of these, it's funny because you guys can see perfectly. It's just me that really can't see the board, and because the sun is just so bright, which is a great thing. Okay, oh, this is going to be a big size puzzle. Okay, let's just put that there. That's fine. All right, let's get into it. So, I'm pretty sure you guys can still hear me. I don't think I have to have the mic as close as I have been having it. Obviously, I speak quite loudly then. So yes, I today would like to discuss I would like to give some advice for anyone who is deciding to become a paramedic in Nova Scotia. And if the advice is applicable for practices in other provinces, then I think that is just a win. Now, the advice that I'm going to offer is the advice that worked for me, that sometimes didn't work for me because, and I'll try and give reasons of why it didn't work, because sometimes I wish I would have done this instead of doing that. Now, I am certainly going to uphold the levels of confidentiality that I have been entrusted with, and at no point in time am I going to give away any pieces of confidential information. I understand that I worked a job where I saw people at their most vulnerable, and there is a certain level of responsibility that I will always carry forward in my life to never divulge any information that could be confidential, because I was there to help, and by me staying silent about the confidentialities of whatever I have done in the past, in terms of specifics, then, you know, that to me, that's still my job. That will never not be my job. So let's go forward. So things that I'm going to talk about are, if you want to be a paramedic, what's a good way to set up your uniform? Or what are some things that I wish someone had told me from day one that maybe you don't necessarily gain from a textbook? If you want to listen, that is great, and I appreciate that. If you don't want to listen, okay, that's your choice, and that's fine too. But the advice I'm going to give is based off of my personal experience working as a primary care paramedic for 10 years. As I said, past tense, I am no longer a paramedic. I no longer have a license, and I am no longer allowed to go back to work. I have PTSD, and it is unfortunately too bad, literally and figuratively. So I now have to literally pick up the pieces of my life and figure out what's next. That is very hard, and I am fortunate because I have some education, I have additional education that perhaps I can fall back on. So I am still off of work trying to figure out my life. This, if you are in a stage perhaps where you are also at a job, like your job, whatever that job may be, and perhaps you have to leave that job, well, if you have to leave that job, I'm sure you may also feel nervous, scared, confused, fearful, all of those things. Well, of course I feel like that. So, you know, there's many things to discuss. So let's just get into it. So let me talk about what, in my opinion, is the best way to set up your uniform. Now, you have your own free will. You can set up your uniform however you would like. My opinion, again, is from my personal experience of 10 years of what worked for me and what didn't. My opinion is mine solely and is based off of no employer's opinion or college opinion or anything like that. This is just my opinion. Okay, I think we've settled it enough that things are just based off my opinion. Excuse me one moment. Okay. How much swallowing and whatnot did you hear when I was just taking a drink? Goodness gracious, I'm sure the mic picks up everything. Okay, so let's get into it. Setting up your uniform. So you are going to, if you are going to become a paramedic, you are going to be expected to wear a standard set uniform. Of course, you can imagine that it has a variety of different pockets, which will become your best friend. The pockets are a great place to store items. Obviously, that is probably literally the definition of a pocket. However, what to put into those pockets, because you may think it's a good idea to, I don't know, store only your set of keys and a lip chap. But let me tell you, it would be, it would be prudent of you to really think about what you're going to need and what you're going to need quickly. So, I would advise you to always carry your stethoscope. And and now, you will see many health professionals carry their, carry their stethoscope around their neck. I disagree with that setup. The reason I disagree with that setup is because I, without telling the specifics of anything, as you can imagine, is there a strong correlation to why I used to wear my stethoscope around my neck and then I suddenly stopped and never did it again? Well, the stethoscope, when you put it around your neck, lies there, obviously. So yes, at one point in time during my career, the stethoscope was there for someone else to grab, and that was not a nice feeling. Now, I will speak no more of that, since I know that that is getting into confidential area, but I immediately realized I did not enjoy that sensation, because where it is a very thick or strong tube, stethoscope I mean, it actually became hard to get free, if you will. That was not a feeling I enjoyed at all. So I then decided to carry my stethoscope in my pocket, and I would carry it in my pocket every single shift. And it was the most useful piece of medical product. What the heck is the word? It was the most useful medical device I think that I could ever carry for my career, because you can imagine that many emergencies involve respiratory, but they do not always present the same. And so, as I've discussed on other videos, when you are a paramedic, you are often expected to handle emergencies in uncontrollable settings. And gosh, it is so hard. So I have been saying for months now, and this is for anyone, you should try and set yourself up for success, because it is very hard to continuously be, as they would say, behind the 8 ball. So I never enjoyed, I found being a paramedic hard. I'm not very science smart, excuse me. So I always, hang on. I always found it very important to set yourself up for success, because the human body can present so differently each and every time. So, for example, is it fair to say that probably paramedics respond to car accidents? Probably. Let's say I'm not being confidential. I'm not breaking confidentiality there. I'm simply acknowledging that yes, out of the medicine world, paramedics are probably the ones dealing with the car accidents. Nonetheless, let's move on. So, even though you can do car accident, you can respond and attend to car accident after car accident after car accident, I can guarantee you each one will be a little bit different every single time. Every single time. And that might be the human component in it. That might be because the weather, that might be, there's so many variables that you just kind of learn to roll with it. So, let's get back on point. I think it's important to always have your stethoscope, because although you may think you know what you're walking into, you don't. You really don't. There's no way that you could, because you're not walking into an office. You're walking, typically, paramedics respond to emergencies all over the place. And so it's impossible to know what to bring every time. So of course, certain people have studied what is the appropriate piece of equipment to bring in, not bring in, all that. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm just saying, like, what can you do to set yourself up for success? One thing I think, gosh, it's really hard to see in here today. Might have to take off the glasses for a bit. One thing, as I've said, I think is such a super piece of medical equipment is your stethoscope. And so as a paramedic, you have typically the clothing, the uniform will be a bit more heavy duty than like a typical nurse's scrub. And I'm not comparing the two jobs. I don't know what it is to be a nurse. I've never studied to be a nurse, and I'm sure that that job has its own complexities. I can't speak of that, so I won't bother. But I mean, it's easy to see from any Hollywood movie, nurses' scrubs typically to me look more cottony and more lighter. So probably harder to put heavier items in said pockets, whereas typically paramedic uniform is more heavy duty. I mean, imagine you're working outside in the elements. You need something that's not going to get soaked for, over the course of a few minutes. If you need to be doing something outside. So I think if perhaps you are just getting into your career and you're kind of figuring out, you're probably scared enough, because it is, it can be a very fun job, but it can be very scary, especially in the beginning. Like if anyone ever says, "Oh, I wasn't scared," that actually makes me more scared than to hear someone say, "Oh no, I was terrified when I started," because that's just, I hate the word normal, but I think it's expected that you're gonna be scared. This is a whole pile of responsibility to be known as a first responder, or a paramedic, or ambulance driver, whatever the heck the title is. It doesn't matter. The job is the same in terms of dealing with things that often are out of your control, with time as the enemy, as I've discussed in detail on other videos. Now, all of that being said, to me, if you have your stethoscope in your pocket, then that means that you are prepared when suddenly this happens or that happens. It doesn't matter what this or that is, because trust me, this or that, it doesn't matter. Stuff will happen. You will expect things to happen one way, and suddenly things will change and happen, and you never want to be caught off guard. And that is literally impossible, to never be caught off guard, because guess what? You are a human being, and you will be tired, you will be hungry, you will be emotional, you will be stressed, you'll be scared. Like, we're not machines, okay? Like, let's get past this idea of that, that it's different. Like, well, you signed up for this, or you that. No, it's a hard job, which well, I can't do it anymore, and I thought I would do it for the rest of my life. And I put a lot of thought into it when I was doing it, and obviously since I've been off work, I've thought, what could I have done different? Would I have done anything different? Of course there's things that you need to learn from and to change, perhaps, or make better choices. But yeah, I just thought that it would be helpful for perhaps anyone who just wants, to hear some advice from someone who did it for a while, because I think 10 years is quite a while, but didn't get to finish it, and so that's kind of why I decided to do this, to make these videos. Nonetheless, yeah, having the stethoscope on you it gives you, I think, a feeling of security, because you know that it's on you. Like, you don't have to reach into a bag to get it, you don't have to run to the ambulance to get it. You don't have to go in your book bag. It's right there. Like, it's right there in your pocket. Now, when, in my opinion, what I always tried to do was to set up my uniform the exact same every single time. And what I mean by that, oh nice. What I mean by that is that sometimes sometimes you be handed something, I don't know what, something that anyone who goes into any place of healthcare, they're going to be asked for their health card, right? Because your health card is your medical record with all of your information, like, your allergies, your, what medications you're, like, all of that good stuff. As far as I'm aware, not your medications, but just like your information, stuff that other people need to know. So, where do you put that? Like, that's always an awkward thing to have, because obviously you're moving fast and you're thinking of this and you're thinking of that. So I always like to put the health card in a certain pocket, so then I knew when I got to the hospital I could touch that one pocket and I would feel the health card and I would know it's there. And basically what I'm long-windedly trying to advise is it is very pragmatic to to create muscle memory when setting up your uniform. To me, your pen or your pens, plural, should always be in one spot. And same way, your stethoscope should always be in the same spot, just because it's going to become easier. Listen, if athletes, like Olympians, are practicing, for, you see them, I always think of the downhill skiers, and you see them at the top before they're about to go down the hill, and they're leaning to the left, leaning to the right, ducking down, doing all that. They're just going through the course. Like, it's all just muscle memory. I cannot speak of the value of making your body learn muscle memory, because as someone who is playing two sports now, badminton and pickleball, with their non-dominant side, it was really hard in the beginning, but it is becoming easier and easier and easier. So isn't that nice? But it takes work and it takes dedication. And that's fine. I don't have a problem doing either of those, because guess what? The more and more that I create that muscle memory, the more and more my brain is just going to naturally do this, do that, and do the other thing. And that's great. Like, that's exactly what I want, what I need. I need to figure out the correct position to puzzle with this sunshine. But yeah, so all of that being said, yeah, like, to me, and of course sometimes you may need to carry some personal items on your person. Now, for my people who menstruate, I think that it is very wise for you to always carry a tampon, or a pad, or that Diva cup, whatever you use for your menstruation. You should carry at least something, I think, at least close around to, if you know when you're gonna. And the only reason I say this is because sometimes you may think you may believe you know how your day is gonna go, and your day could just go so polar opposite, and you certainly do not want to get caught off guard, perhaps in, paramedics work on the road, so you don't want to get caught in some perhaps community that doesn't have the sanitary products that you need. Now, I will say that typically you can usually find someone, but wouldn't it just be so less stressful just to be able to reach right into your own pocket and just pull out something if you need it. That's all I mean. So I don't know. I just, listen, being a paramedic is one stressful job. And I just think that it's wiser for your own mental health to just set yourself up for success, because you can't get stressed. Like, look at me. I burned out. And I tried everything I could do to not burn out, but here I am still burning out. Now I'm super fortunate compared to some people that, you know, didn't get on the other side of it. And I don't really want to talk about too much more than that. But yeah, it can be a very hard job. So I think it's much wiser to just always try to figure out, hopefully, and this is not a discredit to anyone else that didn't that didn't kind of get to where hopefully they deserve to be and whatnot. It's just, if you can do everything you can do to just ensure that you stay happy and healthy in this job, it's I don't really know the right way to say it, just other than it's so important, because this is a job that can literally change your whole life, and that can be incredibly scary. And I don't know if really anyone understands the weight that kind of job can carry. So I think that's why I do these videos, because I think it's important that we talk about this kind of stuff, because you have to ensure that you're ready, and you have to ensure that you're setting yourself up for success. Because anyway, I'm getting repetitive. It's just it's that wildly important to me. Like, it's just, I care about you know, my colleagues that are still doing this. Like, you know, things are getting, I think, quite scary out there, and I worry about many of them. It's just, you know, it's hard. And anyway, whew, okay, let me take a breath and let me think about what else can I tell you. Oh yeah, here's a good one. Try and always have a bit of cash on you, like even $20. Because sometimes, like myself, you may not, if you're not into food prep, and like, you know, it is what it is. It will, I believe food prep will only help you. However, no pressure, because I never did food prep. Not once. Now, do I wish I had? I mean, perhaps. But at the same time, I, on another video, talk about this in detail. I valued sleep more than anything. And as an insomniac, I could not get sleep and go to work. So I just don't know when the heck I would have fit it in my day, to be quite honest. But that's okay. You know, these are, if you think that food prep is more important to you than anything, then hey, go for it. Like, you know, you just do it for you. Make sure that you're always kind of looking after yourself, because your safety is the most important thing, in my opinion. You cannot save anyone if you are hurt. You cannot save anyone if you all of a sudden get sick, or, you know, you really got to watch your own health. It is crucially important, in my opinion. But yes, so what else? Yeah, always have money, because as I've said, you may have situations where you order food, but the debit or the credit machine is down. And I tell ya, there is nothing worse than being starving and finally getting a chance to, like, you know, swing somewhere and get food. Because that is the fun thing about being a paramedic, is that because you typically work out of an ambulance, you have more freedom, you know, because you're out on the go. And so it's sometimes is easier to, you know, get some, I don't know what, you know, Tim Hortons or McDonald's, like whatever it is, right? But nothing's worse than pulling up to the store and or to the restaurant, and you know, whatever, and seeing the sign debits down. It's like, oh man, like, because now you're thinking, well, what am I gonna eat? And you know, it's not always as easy as you think. Because now if you're in that specific situation, now you have to drive around somewhere and go get food, and it turns into such a fuss, instead of just being like, oh, that's fine, I have $20, like, you know, or whatever amount you think you need to be able to buy food. So what else can I tell you? Let's see. What else is a good idea? Well, let's talk about sleep. I think sleep is something you are going to have to put extreme value on. It is a very hard job to do if you are tired. It is darn near impossible to do if you're tired. That's not a challenge to anyone, because I know that I was tired sometimes when I was doing that job. I know that the human body is a lot more capable of things than any of us give it credit for. However, look at me. I'm no longer a paramedic. You know, perhaps I don't know, perhaps, look at that border, got done so quickly. Oh, that's just so pleasant. And I got it all done. Sleep is just, it's a hard one to not have. You know, it's just, you cannot, you need sleep. Like and even if you only need, you know, I'm going to grab some puzzle pieces and grab a drink. Hang on one second. Is it still going? Yep. Cool. If you're someone that is fortunate and only needs, like, I don't know, just hypothetically, 5 hours of sleep a night, like, whoa, I'm envious of you. I find I need 8 hours, like 8 to 9. Now, can I do things and function without 8 or 9? Because 8 or 9 sounds like luxurious to some people, absolutely. I'm not trying to upset anyone. I just know from when I get less sleep, I tend to get very emotional, reactive, and hang on. Yeah, I tend to get very emotional, reactive, and just not feeling well. You know, now, is that an accumulation of having years of no sleep? Well, perhaps. Nonetheless, you know, if you don't take your sleep serious, you will be more primed to possibly falter later, is the only way I can really think to say it. If you don't, then that's amazing, and like, congratulations to you. I just think you're so lucky. But don't feel bad because you need to sleep. Don't compare your sleep to other people. It is dangerous to do that, because everybody's needs are a little bit different. You need to do what is best for you. Now, if you are perhaps worried about your own sleep schedule, well then, may I suggest seeking professional aid about that. Whether it's your GP, whether it's, you know, a sleep clinic, like whatever it may be. But don't be like, well, this person only needs, it doesn't matter what they need, because everybody's sleep schedule is a little bit different. Now, the reason I'm kind of, I guess, ranting, I don't think it's a rant, I'm just being honest. The reason I think it's so important is because it almost becomes you're setting yourself up to fail if you think that you can go to other people's emergencies with no sleep and not get forgetful, not get reactive, not get, you're not going to be your best. Like, everybody, I think, in their life can agree that perhaps they've had a moment in their life where if they would have had a little bit more sleep, they would have this or that, they would have thought more clearly. Like, in any job, it doesn't matter. But it's just realize that as a paramedic, your job isn't just one thing. Like, you have, if I had to say, a paramedic is, my opinion, a paramedic is a grief counselor, a paramedic is a chauffeur, and I'm not saying this in a mean way, I'm just saying these are the types of jobs. A paramedic is a, sometimes a lifesaver. Paramedic sometimes is housekeeping. Sometimes paramedic is security. Sometimes paramedic is, what else? Sometimes paramedics are creators. Like, why don't we try it like this? And, give someone a whole new perspective or a new way to do something, which really would help them. There's just, when you become a paramedic, trust me, it is one job that will quickly become so many other jobs. You'll have to become analytical. You'll have to, become knowledgeable. Knowledgeable about, the province. You'll have to, because if you think that, yes, there are certainly some people that have only worked one area their entire career. I am somebody that worked a variety of different areas, and so how will that go? And so you have to become knowledgeable about the areas that you're working, because yes, you have maps and all that good stuff, but when you're trying to move quickly, it's better that you know where you're to, as I said yesterday on another video. But yeah, it's really interesting, all the different jobs that you're gonna have to have. So I just don't understand how people would expect to be able to get all of that done with no sleep, or very poor or limited sleep. It's just, you're really setting yourself up to fail if you think that, oh, well, at my old job I could, yeah, but this is different now. And it's not to say any other jobs are not hard, it's not that, but this will become something different, and you better learn how to value your sleep. Now, want to know the crappy thing? Sometimes you're gonna have to sleep during the day. And I know that we're getting into nice weather, and I know that some people are not going to want to sleep when the weather's nice. Okay, I get you. It's a sacrifice I think is important, because I just don't see, so the typical shifts I worked were 2 days on, 2 days off. Now, I just don't see how you could work 2 days. Maybe your first night, someone doesn't need to sleep. I always had to sleep before shifts, always. It didn't matter that I had slept. I was never a good sleeper, but then going into that type of career, whoa, that certainly made things worse. I just always, the way I kind of always explained it to people, who wanted my advice was, I view sleep like a well. And sometimes in your life, you're going to have to take more than you give. And it is what it is, right? But if you have been pragmatic, can you tell I like that word? If you have been pragmatic and you have been filling that well diligently with sleep, then perhaps you might be in a better position to take more out of that well than someone who has just been flitting away the hours and the days and not successfully filling up that well. Now, I understand, trust me, it is hard to go to sleep when it is nice weather outside, when it's noisy outside. I understand that. You are going to have to learn, if this is something that sounds like you need it, you are going to have to learn how to sleep during the day, because I mean, you do you, I don't know you, and really I'm asking you to trust me that I'm asking you to trust me, and I'm hoping that you will listen, but if you don't, like, it's okay, it's your life, but I don't want you to end up like me and walking away from a career that you were hoping to advance further and further and further into. I'm not trying to make a pity party for myself, not in the least, but I have the right to what? I think that I should have the right to grieve a career that I have to walk away from, because it's just hard. I thought I would do that forever. So, nonetheless, this is the only way I can think. You know what I miss? I miss helping people. So this is the only way I can think to perhaps try and help people in the only way I can really handle. I'm never gonna go back and be a paramedic, so that's hard to deal with. So sometimes I feel a little bit better if, I can say, hey, why don't you try this? Worked for me. And if it works for someone, like, that's so cool. Like, it's like, oh, sweet. Like, it wasn't just me that helped. Like, I think that's neat. Anyway, nonetheless, what else can I tell you? Oh, always have lip chap. Oh, gosh. And I'll tell you why lip chap is really important. And it's not for the reasons you think. So, I have to think how to talk about this. So, when you work healthcare, you are going to witness many things. You are perhaps going to witness things visually, auditorily, and oh my goodness, what's the word? Nasally? You are going to be the witness to many things in people's lives when you work healthcare. It doesn't matter what type of healthcare you work. And sometimes sometimes only a few of your senses are going to be involved, and sometimes a lot of your senses are going to be involved. And I'm not trying to embarrass anyone, because this is just how it is. There is no other way for healthcare to exist without smells. And it's okay. Like, it literally is what it is. So everybody, like, for example, everybody poops, you know what I mean? And poop smells. So something that thankfully never bothered me really was smells. Thank goodness. Now, all right, I gotta find more pieces. Hang on. Ugh. Now, did I have some colleagues in my life who smells bothered them? Oh yes. And you know, it's, I don't know, I'm not making fun of anyone, but it's interesting how what bothers someone doesn't bother someone else. So now, did I enjoy the smells that I smelled sometimes? No, obviously. So a trick that you can do that will help the patient who is obviously incredibly vulnerable, and because I'll tell you right now, I don't ever make someone feel bad when they're asking for help. You will, in my opinion, hang on. If you make someone feel bad when they ask for help, you will strengthen their chance, their statistical chance that they will not ask for help again in the future. And I don't think anybody wants that. Now, perhaps, you may be disagreeing with what they're asking for help about, and that's one thing. That's a whole other kettle of fish, like literally. However, be very mindful if, yes, you may not enjoy all the smells that come with working in healthcare, but don't make someone feel bad about that. Like, gosh almighty, I betcha if they could have their just let's stay with fecal matter. If they could have their poop smell like rose, like nobody's poop smells like roses, right? So let's just get on past that point. However, having a lip chap, I just always use lip smackers because it has so many different smells. Having lip chap with you, sometimes, where does this go? Oh, over here. Oh, okay, I see. Oh, I hate this chair, I'll tell you that. Having the lip chap with you will allow you to, now can you see me? Here we go. If you take the lip chap and actually just kind of rub it around the outside of your nose, or nares for my medical people, that will help camouflage any smell that you're smelling that perhaps you find too if it's just like if you're finding the smell that you're smelling perhaps too invasive, which, like, that's fine. Like, it's not like you're expected to enjoy these parts of the job. But again, don't make someone feel bad. Just, figure out what you need to do. So whether that's communication as a paramedic, between you and your partner, and just be like, hey, heads up, like, I don't know, we're on the smell of fecal matter. So, the smell of poop, really, like it makes me vomit, like, then you guys are going to have to, the two of you will have to figure out how that's going to work. Because, there definitely are some people that just, no matter what they do, it just, they're just throwing up, like, with any smell. And that's okay. Like, I'm not making fun. I'm just saying, like, that must be really frustrating, because, I don't think anybody really likes to vomit. However, just be aware going into that line of work, you are going to smell some smells which you never thought you would ever have to smell. And you better You better understand that walking into that type of job. So for me, I always thought that the lip chap was always just such a perfect idea, because it's you know, a lip chap tube is very small and really non-invasive, so it was always great to kind of just have you know, in my pocket, and I could just use at will when I needed it. And then obviously I doubled it up and used it as the proper way it was intended, i.e. a lip chap. Because again, you'd be surprised, working out in the elements over the winter months, you know, you could be, as movies, I'm not giving anything away, confidentiality, as movies would lead us to believe, paramedics work out in the elements quite a bit. And of course you're going to be affected by the wind and the sun and the, you know, the rain and the snow and the cold and everything. What else is a good hint or a good tip for anyone? Oh, here's actually a very good one. Always try and remember why you got into paramedicine. It is okay, whatever your reason is, because either if your reason, I don't want to say makes sense, but if your reason, what I hear a lot of the time, and the reason I got into it was because I wanted to help people. Now, was it still hard? Oh, heck yes. Did I have regrets sometimes? Oh, heck yes. That is the joy of being human. Here's something. Okay, I don't even know why I might cry, but I might cry, so don't be alarmed. Something that was asked to me recently was, knowing what I know now, would I have gone into it? So knowing that I would end up leaving the career and no longer able to do it, and knowing that I was going to always get PTSD, let's just pretend, okay? Would I have still done it? And my answer was immediately yes, of course. There is nothing that I regret that much about getting into the career that would make me never do it. Being a paramedic taught me, where are we at now? Okay, being a paramedic in Nova Scotia, so past tense, no longer I was. When I was a paramedic in Nova Scotia, it taught me how to be strong. It taught me how to work hard. And it taught me how to have perseverance. I would say those are the top 3 skills that I had them going in, but I certainly did not have them to the levels that I got over time. Perseverance I've always had, but there is something there is something to be said for there is something to be said for sorry, I'm just trying to think how to say this. There's certainly something to be said for okay. I don't know if I've talked about this in other videos. The level of responsibility sometimes can be overwhelming. Yes, that's true. And sometimes it works. What you do will work. And you will save a life. And that is a great feeling. Sorry, this is hard to talk about. That is a really great feeling. And it's a feeling, it's a feeling that you should try and hold on to, because I think I lost that memory, and all I could focus on was oh gosh, this is hard. Sorry. All I could focus on was the people that I couldn't save, and that gets unmanageable. So just remember that you probably entered the career to help someone, and that is a really good reason to get into the career. So never forget that, because that is so admirable. Yeah, I think I'm just going to take a little bit of a break, because it's hard to talk about that kind of stuff. But nonetheless, the puzzle's coming along, so isn't that lovely? No, you don't go there at all. I was about to do a big connect, it doesn't go. Okay, I did want to just continue, though, talking about some pieces of advice. So, oh, here's a good one. So I talked about the driving. You better know where you're going when you're trying to drive and blah, 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 because it will only add to your frustration if you're like, I don't know where I'm going. You better figure it out now. Whether that means that, and I don't mean you have to like study maps, it's not about that, but like maybe the next time you have some free time, I don't know, like, is this too far-fetched? Like, maybe, you know, just drive around the area. Like, you know, if you're unfamiliar with the area, just kind of figure out, like, obviously, you're going to take, when you go to work, regardless, working in an ambulance, side of the road, whatever it may be, you're going to end up taking people to the hospital. I don't know, maybe you just take time and figure out the best routes to and from the hospital. Do you know where the hospital's at? Do you know how to get to the hospital a few different ways? Because you're not going to run to the hospital the same way every single time, and you're also not going to go to the same exact hospital every single time. So it is important to you know, figure out that stuff. Like, you know, you do have, I think, you should have certain levels of responsibility, because you're getting into a career to help people. Well, there should be, in my opinion, there should be some onus on you to ensure that you're setting yourself up for success. Now, it is hard, of course it's hard, but it's a hard job. It really is. Like, I can tell you, it really, really is. So it's all, to me, and there's sirens again. I was figuring I was hearing sirens. Gosh, every time I get out here, it's sirens, sirens, sirens. And you know what's funny? I hate that sound now. Gosh, it makes me so worried that something bad is happening. And then you get exhausted, because you're just worrying. Like, ugh. It's okay. I'll be okay. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm trying to give you guys advice so you don't end up like me. Because do you think I'm not embarrassed to be sensitive to the sound of sirens? Like, that used to be me. That was me at one time. I was running around and, you know, blasting the sirens and, you know, saving lives, like doing that. I don't even want to hear them anymore. Like, it just, and then, you know, like, then I'm worried, like, where are they going? Do I know the person? Like, are they okay? Like, what's, you know, da da da. Like, it's Yeah. So, um, you know, okay, what else is a good thing to talk about? Oh goodness, you want to set yourself up for success being a paramedic? Always have pens. And I said pens plural. You need more than just one, because you're sometimes going to have to write down things, because when you ask someone a question, they may give you such a complex answer that unfortunately, hypothetically, let's say it's your last shift and every shift you've gotten overtime, and there's going to be times that you're tired and you're not going to be able to remember what they said, but what they said is complex and not forgettable, but you certainly will forget things. Again, that is the whole point of humanity. We are not perfect. Gosh, I wish we could get out of that thought process. Like, yeesh. So, yes, pens, because nobody ever seems to have extra pens. So, wouldn't it be nice if you were that medic that not only had a pen, and have a good pen? Don't, like, I'm not saying you have to spend a heck of a lot of money, but, like, don't get pens that you're gonna rely on, and then when you go to use them don't actually work. Like, then, like, that I always hate it, and I think we all agree. I talk vividly about my hatred for inanimate objects when they do not work, because it's like, you have a job, just do your job. You're a pen that needs to work, just work. That always kind of set me foolish. Now it's all in what kind of gets your goat, I guess, as they would say. But yeah, it's important to always have pens, because there's no way you're gonna remember all the information, especially like if you haven't eaten properly lately, if you perhaps haven't been sleeping properly. Like, there's so much that's gonna work against you. Believe me when I tell you. It's and unfortunately it's par for the course. It's I don't know, it's like being a paramedic is hard, and it's it's going to seem like, that no matter what you do, it's never good enough, it's never right, it's never this. And trust me, I have faith that you're doing as best a job as you can. I have faith that you are, because I was doing my absolute best that I could manage. Now, some people, okay, they might disagree with that, okay, but like, I'm not a liar. Like, I gave it my absolute all, and I still failed. Now, are there probably things that other people could have done to help me not fail? Yes. Are there things that I could have done to help me not fail? Yes. So, I think it would be a shame for me to walk away from the career and not take any onus. However, I think that it needs to be said that it needs to be acknowledged that I did my absolute best, to really try, and just can't do it anymore. So, but that's okay. I did it for 10 years. I did it for actually a long time, believe it or not. I think that way back in the day, like, many more people retired from it than nowadays. I think that personally it's a career. I just don't see how you could do it for a long time. I think that when I was in it, I didn't want to understand how hard it is, and now that I'm out of it, I'm like, oh, because very close loved ones to me would often say, like, that's a hard job, and I would instantly say, oh, no, you could do it, it's not that bad. But it's almost like I had to lie to myself, and try and convince myself that it wasn't that bad, because I just, how do you get back in the truck if you think it's a bad job, if you think it's a hard job, if you're scared, it's darn near impossible. So I think it's important that we talk about stuff like that, because in my opinion, if you're, oh, I'm not even looking at where the windows are at. There we go. Okay. If you perhaps end up like me and can no longer do the job, well, you may struggle with intense feelings, like I have been feeling, and I don't want anyone else to feel like that. I do not like at all when people struggle. It darn near kills me. So this is the only way I think I can add value back into people's lives, is just by making these videos where I discuss kind of my thought process about all this stuff. It's up to you if you want to listen or not. If you don't, cool, then go do something else on the internet. But I think it's important that these kind of discussions are had. That was a bit of a rant. But yes, so let's move on though. Oh, that's gonna have to go there somewhere. Okay. Nonetheless, oh, where would that go? That? Like that, maybe. Yeah, there we go. This is a nice puzzle, I must say. I always kind of get wary too when doing puzzles from other companies that I don't necessarily know. But actually, oh, I realized this is the first non-Cobble Hill puzzle I've done on this channel. So that's kind of cool. I do have other puzzle companies that I would like to start and try, but all in good time. I don't like to rush anything, and yeah. I'm just trying to figure out where stuff goes. There we go. Nice. Oh yeah, this is ticket-to-booing right along. Isn't that so nice? Now, what is another piece of advice I could give you? Sleep. There. Don't know where you go. Oh, you go somewhere up there. There you go, like that. Look at me figuring it out. Isn't that so nice? What else? Okay, let's talk about making paramedic friends. I think it is very much in your best interest to at least have one or two paramedics that you can talk to. Now, you must understand that you are operating under high levels of confidentiality. I cannot control what you discuss and what you do not discuss, but realize that, again, you have responsibilities to maintain levels of confidentiality. It must be said, though, that sometimes there's going to be non-confidential things that are going to stress you out, that perhaps someone else will just not understand, and I mean civilian. So, if you need to discuss what? Okay, I, for a long time, hated the snow. I hated the snow. Now, I live in Canada. Guess what we have in spades in Canada? Now, the reason that I always hated the snow, excuse me, the reason that I always hated the snow was because I worked a job which instantly became harder, busier, and all of that good stuff when it snowed. And sometimes, could it be any noisier here right now? Like, holy moly. Sometimes it, well, Could you imagine how hard it is to do medicine outside in the elements as it's snowing? Whether it be moving people from where they're at into the ambulance, whether it be, the road conditions. Holy moly, excuse me one second. Guys, I'm gonna have to take a break. There's a helicopter, and I'll see you on the next one.